and bring it to the table for discussion. Or if any of the board members would like to ask a question, I want them to feel free to do that too. Bill, would you like?
At this point, I don't have any further questions. I've heard quite a bit today, so at this point, I have no questions.
Bill, you got anything?
My question is, with staff and the attorney and the board and whatever, how do we go about, I know we can move a motion and then we can amend it, we can vote on the amendments, correct? We can revise that motion with consent of who made the motion. My point being that this is not a simple matter if we're going to address some concerns that need to go maybe toward the commission.
Well, Mr. Larson, the board does have the option, if they have more questions that they feel that they need more information on, to table this item until the January planning and zoning meeting.
And the date of that meeting is?
The 2nd, January 2nd, 2013. Now, if, like Adolfo was saying earlier, you know, this is a recommendation to the commission of pass, do not pass. And if you have concerns about any of the issues brought up during this application, you can, in your motion, say in regards to, and then put whatever specifications you want attached to that motion and your recommendation to the commission. Now, that doesn't guarantee that the county commission will oblige that, or even, you know, or go along with your recommendation. That's up to the county commission. I think Mr. Mendez could probably go a little bit further in explaining that.
I think you stated it well. Your final action will be taken by the county commission because this is considered a zone amendment, and so the county commission will act as if in its role as approving zone amendments. It will certainly weigh the board's recommendation and any concerns that the board raises. I mean, that's the board's role is to do that. If there are concerns, highlight those concerns for the county commission's additional consideration. If you have specific recommendations for specific wording of conditions, that's certainly fine. So the board has a range of options. One from recommending do not pass, recommending do pass without conditions, recommending do pass with conditions, passing it on without a recommendation is also an option. So there are multiple ways that the board can act, but ultimately the final action is taken by the county commission.
And we have a question from Mr. Maxwell.
Is SASS an LLC?
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
What was that?
No, SASS is a corporation.
Are they for
Founders Ranch.
Profit or non-profit?
okay? Are they for profit?
Yes.
So where does the gross receipts tax go? Santa Fe County, Torrance County?
SASS itself, its headquarters is located in Santa Fe County. So merchandise sales and things like that through our website, any money taken in from SASS headquarters located in Santa Fe County, those gross receipts go to Santa Fe County. Anything that happens at Founders Ranch, venue rentals, merchandise sales during events, things like that, those are all taxed. All gross receipts from anything that happens on Founders Ranch goes to Torrance County.
Okay, so if anybody comes, if this passes and somebody comes in and leases this from you, all that will go to Torrance County?
Yes.
Misty, so if someone has a shop that sells balloons or something at the event, at the ranch, those taxes come to our county?
Yes. All of our exhibitors and vendors at any event are required by us as exhibitors and through Torrance County to obtain a temporary sales a vendor's permit for events that happen at the ranch. And they come here to Estancia and get the permits all in place prior to us allowing them to set up.
And the people who go to Edgewood to eat or buy gas, theirs goes to Edgewood or to Santa Fe County, of course.
Yes.
And the same way with Bernalillo County.
Right.
And those in Moriarty go to Torrance and in Moriarty. Right. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question, probably of the attorney. Is it acceptable that from here, this microphone, I would make a general statement about what I'm thinking?
Certainly, yes. When the question's at the table, the board may discuss their concerns with each other, and so that the public knows what you're thinking. You can speak out loud, and that will help inform whatever motion may come about.
In other words, you're trying to influence the rest of us, and that's okay.
No. You can go outside. No. If that's acceptable. By the way, Steve, don't you do a kind of a summary at the end or something else? You're all done.
Once the board makes its motion and its decision on what the recommendation will be, my next duty is to report that to the county commission at the next commission meeting and ask them for a date that they would hear it, would set the public hearing for, which, with public notice requirements wouldn't happen before January.
My question had to do with this meeting. Do you have additional information that you'd share with us before we...
What information would you like?
No, that's a question. I don't know.
No, I have no more comment to make. Okay.
Well, I'm willing to go first, and if nobody else goes, that's okay. For one, I understand economic development, and I understand that it takes risk, and it takes planning, and it takes people to work together and to understand each other. By the same token, I understand neighbors. I live on a road that, when my grandmother lived there, nobody was there. Now there's 40 cars a day go by there, and I live with that. The bottom line is that it's not a clear-cut thing, that this does seem like a lot that can happen in an area where there's a lot of people live there. I don't have any doubt that this is going to happen somewhere, whether it's in Torrance County or somewhere else. I'm in favor of this activity. I'm in favor also of addressing in writing completely those concerns that have to do with particularly access during those events and with problems across the fence and so forth. I realize there's no perfect work, and somebody is not going to be as happy as they'd like to be.
And following out that, my concern and what I really have heard today was the access. And I see that on here, you're saying go down Barton Road. What I'm hearing is Barton Road's very difficult to travel. I would like to see this move forward with some kind of a condition that Barton Road gets taken care of and addressed, so that what we're hearing here in the public is taken care of. I think what you guys are doing is great, and it's going to help, the community here. I really feel that we need to make sure the road is in shape and in condition to handle the traffic flow, because that's really kind of what I'm hearing out of this. Maybe there's other things out there I wasn't hearing, but we need to make sure that Barton Road, as you're showing here on your map as an exit, is really going to work. And I think that would alleviate a lot of the questions and issues here.
All right, can I make a statement to that?
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like it needs to be reiterated in Ms. Endy's own words, even that for 7 years, there's never been any complaints about what we've done. The admitted mistake we made was with Warrior Dash. And the only real issue lies in events of that size. And that's where we're willing to work. I mean, our current traffic control plan and emergency and evacuation issues or plans never caused issues with, our other events prior to Warrior Dash. We always managed them efficiently and effectively. Access for the neighbors, it was never an issue. This one event, this one mistake is what is prompting all of this. So really that plan with Barton is just our reaction to events of that magnitude ever occurring again. The things we've done in the past, as I said, ingress, egress, access has never been an issue when we handled it ourselves.
Misty,
Yes.
just a comment.
Yes.
A lot of us have been in business, and we start small.
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow we think, gee, we ought to put another building over here, or build a fence, or so we try to keep improving ourselves.
Yeah.
That's human nature. So we're not picking on you.
Yeah, no.
I think you have done a good job of putting things together.
Well, we want to do our part too, everyone too, and that's another thing that we feel like we need to address is that our vision has changed over the last 7 years. As with any business who plans on staying in business, you have to evolve and change and, come up with new ideas to keep, revenue coming in. But at the same time, we do shoulder the great responsibility of making sure that we're an asset to the community at the same time.
Thank you, Mr. Red. Did you have something?
I approve myself of what y'all are trying to do. I think the road improvement and traffic control would have to be done before any of this takes place. And the other thing is, I don't know if you can put a limitation on the size of what you're going to do. You're going to have 50,000 people come in, or you're going to have, 1,500, 5,000. And the other thing I think is everything we do and say needs to be put in writing, and everybody holds accountability to.
I agree wholeheartedly. We don't want anything less than everything in writing. That protects us as well as you and everyone involved. So we're completely in favor of that. I forgot what I was going to say. What did you say just before in writing? I was going to respond to it.
Limit event size.
Oh, the size. That's one thing. Like I said in our parking capacity and traffic, that one thing that we'd never evaluated in the past. In the presentation it said 2,500 vehicles. We did an actual capacity chart. That's one thing, to our own fault, we've never really evaluated is how, sheer size. Let's talk about size. How many vehicles can we really accommodate? And we used a 10 by 20, which is pretty generous in it for capacity wise.
So the capacity is well and good, but how are you going to get them in there and out of there?
Yeah, and
In a timely manner.
Right.
I mean, that's my concern.
And that's the next leg of what we want to do. I mean, we want to work closely, again, like I said, with the county officials to do everything we can to make sure that happens. The first point, of course, is how we control the traffic on the property. And the key to that is parking. So, first of all, let's figure out how many vehicles can we really hold realistically. And then let's figure out how we can, as efficiently as possible, get them onto and off of the property. And then we task, we're tackled with improving the roads to accommodate events of a larger size.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing or two?
Yes, Bill.
A lot of times we try to legislate what a business can and can't do. We forget that those Warrior Dash people that were there last spring will not be back if they know circumstances are going to be the same. In other words, if you don't have your act together, you're not going to have any business, and that takes care of it. I'm not saying turn you loose, but the bottom line is it behooves people like McCall's to facilitate being able to get into their business and to be friendly with their neighbors and make arrangements and so forth.
Okay, I haven't said anything yet much. But what I was going to say was, I really understand how the neighbors feel. I know that 30 years ago we moved here, and I live 1.5 miles off of Route 66. And at that time there were probably 3 homes in that 1.5 miles. And now that I was going to count them the other day, but at my advanced stage I forgot to go count them. But I think that now there are at least 50 or 60 or 70 in that area. And I'm kind of glad to see them there, as long as they're, you know, it's all economic development. They all spend money in town, and hopefully they help to pay taxes that sometimes build better roads. And I know that things just keep improving. I was thinking that, actually it was before I was born, Henry Ford developed a Model T Ford. And I bet he didn't have any idea that one day that there was going to be freeways. But it's kind of his fault. You know, if he hadn't built a car, we wouldn't need a freeway. And I know the Wright brothers built an airplane. And they had no idea that there's just going to be big airports in New York City, Los Angeles, all over the world. So that's kind of the way things move. They just start small and get big, but what we need to do is control some of that. And that's where these conditions would come in whenever we do make a recommendation. That's my speech. So what would the board like to do? Would you like to, as Adolfo recommended, to put it off special meeting, or would you like to make a motion as is to accept the proposals, or would you like to make a motion to accept the proposals with conditions, or however else you'd like to do it? The floor is open.
I'd like to make a proposal to accept it with conditions.
Or would you like to spell out the conditions?
Idiot.
I don't understand it.
So would you like to spell out the conditions?
I think that from now on, I think everybody should throw something in. I mean, the thing that my main concern is roads. And traffic control, I think we've already discussed that, but I think the road deal, if the road deal doesn't get done, it's not going to work. I don't think.
This board can't make the road happen, but we can suggest it to the commission, and they will have to go forward with whatever plans and cooperation with other entities like the other counties. So that could be one of the conditions, the roads brought up to passable conditions. Misty?
I just have a quick statement. Rather than, because it's a significant package of proposals to special uses, rather than saying, well, if the roads aren't improved, it's not going to work. Could you be more specific for me in your recommendation to the commission in that? That's like saying, well, if we don't get the work, so none of the proposed special uses. So in regards to larger events, perhaps the roads would need to be improved prior to. I'm not telling you. I mean, I'd like for it to be a little more specific.
They're at the table, so she shouldn't be talking anymore either.
Yes, Adolfo, do you have something?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, one thing that the board's options, as I laid them out before, it sounds like the motion right now is a motion to recommend do pass to the county commission with conditions. And you can highlight what the concerns are. So for example, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but for example, what I'm hearing is that that the final approval include conditions to address the necessary improvements to the roads and address access to the property, be it during big events or any time. But in other words, you can take a couple of routes. Because you're making recommendations, you can make them very specific, or you can highlight them for particular attention by the commission. So, and I'll reiterate, for example, a motion that says a condition to that the county commission have a condition to address the road. So your recommendation would be make sure you have a condition to address the road conditions. I know I've used the word condition multiple times, so maybe redundant, but I hope I was clear.
One day out of I have a question though.
And there is a motion on the table, so you were spelling out the conditions that you were wanting to include on it.
The condition I have is road improvement, because I think that's the key to the whole deal. I mean, as far as getting in and out.
Can we discuss what conditions we would like to put on there? You know, this is quite important. We don't want to just have one condition and then say, oops, next week we forgot the other one.
Right.
We need to get it right.
Right. One option would be to withdraw that motion and then continue to discuss what conditions might be needed, and then come back and make a motion with all of the conditions outlined.
I'll withdraw that motion.
Who seconded? Pardon? Did I second that? I don't think so.
No, you didn't.
No. Okay. So what conditions besides roads?
Well, I had an idea that I wanted to ask Misty about. If this were approved like it is, with the roads like that, well, she's occupied, that's all right. Okay, my question is, if this was approved like it is, with the future in mind, knowing that there's a lot of road things that need to happen, how much activity, how fast does this need to grow? How many events can you have with how many people without any road improvements at all?
Obviously not anything near the scope of the Warrior Dash. We've successfully held End of Trail for 7 years with 1,000 participants and 5,000 to 6,000 public spectators coming to visit the ranch each day. I think that's probably our golden number within our, without, real, other than passing the occasional RV. I know those roads are narrow too. But that would probably be about the limit without.
How much road are we talking about? How many miles?
Are you talking about what of Barton needs to be improved?
I think so.
About
2.5
2 miles,
to 3.
I believe. Oh, I'm sorry.
2.5 to 3.
2.5 to 3. Barton would need significant work. I mean, it's dirt, it's boulders, it's rocks. Wantamas could certainly stand to be widened to accommodate 2 full lanes of traffic easier.
I don't see why we couldn't specifically put as a condition that to the commission that say, hey, you guys, we got to get that road wider and get it fixed. Let's get it done, and then we'll have a road in and out of there.
So I think the key here really as far as road improvements for our future and larger events would be, until we can improve the roads, let's limit the size of events we can hold out there to make sure that there aren't any issues. Because again, End of Trail is our largest event at about 5,000 visitors a day, and there were never any issues in events of that size. It wasn't until it was a 10,000 people event that obviously became an issue.
Okay. Sir, we're beyond the congregation, so to speak, at this point.
The roads aren't in Torrance County that she is speaking of. So any
Sir.
recommendations?
Sir.
Mr. Chairman, would I be out of line to ask?
Yes, you would.
Yes, we can't do that.
Motion at this point and work out the details with.
I think we ended the public portion of the hearing.
That's right.
We're at the point where the board discusses it, and we will or will not make a motion. So as far as the conditions, one is the roads. What other?
That's my issue, is just making sure people can get in and out of there safely. And I think as long as we can mention it in this so that the commission is at the forefront of
So you're saying roads and road safety and safety in general.
And I think the road issue has to address those people that already live there, that are interfered with when activities are happening.
That's my
There's got to be a remedy for that.
So would you rather table this for a month, or would you rather make a motion?
I myself would like to see a motion. I don't know if a month is going to help us get any more information, because there's been a lot of talk and information today. I think if we just went ahead and made the motion, moved it on to the commission, and just put our concerns in there so that the commission will have those highlighted when they are reviewing this.
What do you think?
And they're going to have the commission is going to have the same input to them that we've had here today. So we could definitely say to them, this is what we think, in the form of a motion.
Okay, I have an idea about that. That we would, I mean, I'm willing to move a motion to approve it with the road and traffic issues to be written up legally, so to speak, so we're not dealing with some, we wrote it out on the hood of a truck. All right?
I've got a napkin.
Yeah, or a napkin in the restaurant. And how can we work on the road part of that, even that road part of that recommendation, and still say we want the commission to get onto this and get on down the road?
Well, you could say something that your recommendation is that the commission have the condition that the road agreements between the three counties are made and a date for the road improvement set before they do it.
And that tri-county agreement include traffic studies that'll hold water in court, right? In other words, vehicle count and vehicle width and shoulder width and
Well, that, now you're getting into something that,
no, I'm pointing
a little
toward
bit beyond that.
the definition of improvements.
The improvement to the road would be, getting a grader up there and material, flatten it out, and whether or not they chip sealed it.
And that might be sufficient for a year or two or three. But if their plans come together, it's going to take a 4-lane with turn lanes eventually, 20, 25 years from now. So
Well,
let's go.
eventually, but those easements and right-of-ways up there wouldn't allow for it.
Well, they can be, if there's economic activity there, it has to happen. That's all there is to it.
Well, that's
And
not
we
my
don't want to
decision.
build a box for the future that can't.
I don't think that we can specify just how to fix the road, but we can specifically recommend to the commission, because they got the power to get that done. I don't know that we do specifically recommend to the commission that the road has to be improved drastically.
Are you ready for that?
I thought Jim was going to say it and we'd just replay it and we'd be done.
No, I'm waiting on your words are better than mine.
How can we define what improvements need to happen?
It's not, well, Adolfo,
This is our
their
attorney.
attorney for SAS, can he make a suggestion?
I think that would
He
be a
is
bad
part of the
idea.
audience. He is not-
I'm part of the applicant.
He's the applicant's legal counsel. He's part of their presentation.
I'm just trying to help the process along. I mean, obviously, if you want to,
Well, wait a minute, before you start talking, what's your answer, Adolfo? Because if he wants to address the board, he needs to come up here.
He does, but right now anybody who's coming up is at the request of the board when they're asking questions. He can certainly come here and make a recommendation to me and I can filter it through.
Okay, well, that's what we needed to hear.
Or the board can ask him a question, because he is part of the applicant.
I can do that. According to my directions here, it says I can do that. So I will ask SASS's attorney, what does he like to say?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Gary Friedman. I'm the attorney for SAS.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the best
I do. I try to move the process along. I serve on a board of a commission for the city of Santa Fe, for the Board of Adjustment for the last 10 years. So I've been in your shoes, and I still am many times. So I just want to, I know you want to try to keep it general enough. So my suggestion was to say that final approval includes conditions to address necessary improvements to the road and road safety. That's hopefully a starting point. You can add to that. But that was some language that I was just coming up with to assist with the process.
See, that could mean just Torrance County. And if there's more roads need to be improved, then we have anything to do with it for our county commission.
Right. I didn't mean to limit it to any
Yeah,
particular
okay,
road.
so a tri-county agreement would need to happen. There's traffic.
But we can't tell Santa Fe County how to do their roads.
No,
No,
but
but
she
SAS
can
can
say they
tell.
got to agree before you
They
allow.
gotta do something.
Well, that's okay with me if they do.
We can tell SAS, you gotta get Santa Fe County on the ball, so we don't have a mess up there in the corner. When I opened that map and saw that property is in the very corner of the county, I said to myself, this could be a can of worms. Just from the road standpoint.
I think Michael is writing out a motion.
I think you're right.
I'm good. I'll have one in just a minute. At this point in time, do I need to make it as a motion, or can I just address this to the board so they can hear?
You can make a motion, and if we don't like it, we can make an amendment.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that we move this special use district permit to the commission as a due pass, with the recommendation that the commission look at the issue of road safety so that people can get in and out of Founders Ranch safely.
And also area residents. I'm aware of people that could not go to their jobs. and could not get home because of that Warrior Dash thing. I'm not opposed to Warrior Dash. I love it. I wish I'd have been there. But there's more to it than playing.
We haven't seconded his motion yet, so he's going to change it just a bit.
The proper wording would be ingress and egress.
Incorrect, thank you. So do I need to revise my motion?
Yeah, would you restate it?
Okay, I'm restating my motion that we move the special use district application to the county commission as they do pass, with the recommendations that the county look at the issues of having proper ingress and egress for the surrounding residents, as well as getting to Founders Ranch.
I second the motion.
Discussion. Bill, you had any discussion?
Can we ask the attorney if that is
Yes, we can do that.
flow? Will that flow?
It will do what it says. The county commission will, the recommendation is that the county commission look at the issue as read. So if you want to, well, I'll leave it at that.
Steve?
I think we need to include the agreement with the other two counties.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree with that. I agree.
Ingress and egress would be going out to 217 or coming in from 217 on the ingress and out to Highway 66 or
It's been seconded,
333 on Burton Road.
We can amend it.
You need to amend it.
That's been seconded?
But we can amend it.
Yeah, we can, yeah.
So to do that, you would say,
Get the consent if they move around.
if you want to amend it, we do that and then we'll amend it first.
Yeah, okay. I move we amend Michael's motion to include that the county commission give regard to improving the traffic and road issues, not only in Torrance County, but in roads that affect that site, by following up on a road agreement with the other counties.
Santa Fe and Bernalillo.
Yes, Santa Fe and Bernalillo counties.
Do I hear a second to the amendment?
Second.
Any discussion on the amendment? If not, those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm in favor.
Okay, so that means the amendment passed. So if there's no further discussion, those in favor of the motion as amended, and we'll have a roll call vote on that. Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Mr. Bobaugh?
Yes.
And Mr. Larson?
Yes.
That means the motion as amended carried, and we will present this to the county commission for their action and input on it. And there will be another public hearing, as I understand, that you folks can all come to talk to them also. Thank you all for coming. Do we have any?
Just information for the audience, that all the submittals to this hearing or this public meeting will be passed on to the commission.
Thank you.
Do we have any further business? Steve? Do we have any further business? If not, motion to adjourn would be in order.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. The meeting is adjourned.